football growing up and all the way through college, but more and more we're learning about the long-term effects on the body and the brain, and naturally it's raising concerns for parents.
Yeah, as a mother, I have questions, of course, on how to keep our kids safe and, of course, prevent injuries on the field. So please welcome right now sports medicine surgeon, Dr. Benjamin Domb. Hi, Doctor.
Thank you.
Hi, Doctor. I should point out that Dr. Domb and I go way back because he's the one that did my hip surgery, and that was as a result of partly genetic, partly athletic. You were an athlete as well and have had injuries, and so is this what has raised your interest in this field?
Absolutely. You know, I think my interest in orthopedic surgery stemmed out of some of my own injuries and my desire to treat athletes like myself. So you played football, I played basketball. Unfortunately, you and I have 4 to 7 times greater risk than the average male of having a joint replacement in our life because of the sports that we played, and that drove my interest.
Right, and some of these stats this day, I know, Ryan, you had some of those stats. They're pretty alarming, right? Does that really concern you?
You know, at the pro level and at the high school level, it concerns me very much. Obviously, concussions have gotten a lot of media attention in the NFL, and I think concussions are a big deal, but perhaps even a bigger deal is the accumulation of bodily harm that occurs.
Right, so if you're a parent and you're at home, should I let my kid play football?
That's a big question today, and you know, obviously I wouldn't tell you how to be a mother, but I think that there are things that can be done to make football safer, and the attention that's being drawn to the sport right now is pushing it that way.
Right, like give us some tips. Like, what could you do to make it safer?
Well, there are things that are being modified in the game. You know, we're measuring number of hits to the head. There's helmet technology that's advanced our ability to measure that, and if we can come up with things like hit counts, what's an acceptable hit count, that may really move the needle. But you know, what can you do as a mother? I think there's some important things that you can do. The first is early diagnosis. Second injuries, second impacts are what cause a lot of the really serious injuries. That's true for concussions. It's also true for bodily injuries, ACL tears, groin injuries, ankle injuries. So if you can diagnose the first injury, then you may be able to prevent that the second impact. So that's a big deal. Prevention programs. You know, we have an inside-out injury prevention program. You can find that on our website. I worked with the American Hip Institute to develop that. And the concept is you strengthen the core muscles and the 27 muscles around the hip to prevent non-contact injuries like ACL injuries. So that can make a big difference. And then I think the last thing is encouraging the schools to staff great medical staff and to have top-flight equipment. You know, I volunteer on the sidelines of our high schools football games, but not every high school's so lucky, and more than 60% of high schools don't even have an athletic trainer. So it makes a big difference if you can have medical staff and top-flight equipment.
Right, and some coaches now, with the education and the knowledge, are teaching much better practices as far as, you know, the techniques go. I'm curious, as a doctor, you have young kids, would you let your kids play football? Because I have very mixed feelings when I have kids. You know,
like you, I feel very torn. My son's looking pretty huge, so
how old is he?
He's 5 years old, and the football coach is already calling.
Really?
Yeah. Well,
he's got the height. I mean, look at you.
Yeah, what are you, 6'7"?
I'm 6'7", yeah. And he's looking like he'll be a little bigger than me. But,
right. So that's your retirement plan.
Well, at 5, I don't know if anybody knows what they're interested in, but you know, I'm conflicted about it, and I hear exactly what you're saying, and my wife is terrified, of course, and you know, I think it's my hope that over the next decade, by the time he's eligible to play football, the game will have evolved and the rules will have evolved, so it'll be a safer sport.
Right. What about you? I mean, I know you don't have kids yet, but
I always say no. I say no. You know, and I have a twin brother that played in the NFL, suffered 4 or 5 concussions. He allows his son to play high school football, but I don't know, the more that we're finding out about it, the more, you know, the long-term effects are you know, I don't think that that's going away, Doc.
It's not. You know, an NFL player has a 35 times more greater likelihood of having Alzheimer's, and that's just the head stuff. You know, the bodily stuff. I mean, we did a study on 50 NFL players that I evaluated head to toe, and more than a third of their body is disabled by the end of their career. It's staggering.
Right, and you've seen a huge rise with young kids.
Right, everything that we found in the NFL arena translates to kids, and sometimes it's even worse. You know, the kids will suffer permanent injuries that are going to affect them through the course of their lives. 95% of second impact deaths occur in kids under 18.
Right.
I think the answer might be no.
Last week.
Right. And so if you're going to let your kids play, though, be smart.
I don't know. Matt's asked me, do wide receivers do they have to wear equipment? Do they get hit? I mean, like, he asked me about it. it, and I'm like, I don't know that.
They do.
The salient point is I think we can make it safer.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's what you're working towards. Thanks, Dr. Domb, for stopping by. Good to see you, buddy.
Thanks for having me.
All right, well, from sports advice to love advice, the lovable Dr. Ozzie Guillen answers your relationship questions. Come right back.